And if you hear any screaming in the background, it is my kids playing. Okay, welcome to Chemistry 3111. Here is our schedule for the summer 2022 semester. You can see that we are here, May 16th, and today we're going to cover chapter 11. I think we'll be able to cover the entire chapter with no problem. I don't think it's a pretty short chapter. And also, if you just finished Organic Chemistry 2 with or Organic Chemistry 1 with me, I have some good news. It's going to be a complete review because this is the last chapter that we complete in Organic Chemistry 1, and it is the first chapter that we do in Organic Chemistry 2. And the reason we repeat it is because it is a review of all the synthesis reactions that you learn in that course. On Wednesday, we're going to begin taking a look at alcohols and phenols, and so it would be wise to begin reading chapter 12 as soon as possible. Also, something important that's coming up is next Monday, so a week from today, we have the census date, which is sometimes referred to as the drop date. And if you drop before the census date, you can get a full refund from UCCS. However, should you choose to drop the course after the census date, you will not get a full refund from UCCS. Other interesting things you see on this schedule, besides the dates of all of our classes, the content in the book that's going to be covered. You see the dates for all the quizzes and homeworks, and quiz 11 is coming up this Friday. I'll give you more details about that this Wednesday in class. I'll also craft an announcement about that, but you're going to need Respondus Lockdown Browser and Respondus Monitor in order to take the quiz from home. And then I have homework 11, which I just set up, so hopefully that's working because Wiley has changed that slightly, but anyhow, it shouldn't be a big deal. Another thing that I want you to take a look at is the amount of time that I have set aside for each one of these lectures. What I have set aside is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 4:30 p.m. So if you tally up during the regular semester the number of minutes that organic chemistry meets, so that's 75 minutes per lecture, 3 times a week for 16 semesters, and then you add quizzes in there, you can see that in the summer I have set aside much more time than we would have during the regular semester. And so 2 things about that. Number 1, it affords us the luxury to take breaks during the summer because, let's face it, nobody wants to listen to me lecture for 2 hours straight, and therefore we're able to take some breaks throughout the lecture. And number 2, it just gives us enough time so that, if we need a little extra time, we can take it. But the bottom line is I usually will not be ending class at 4:30. I'll usually end it much earlier than that. Not always, but a lot of times I do, so that it gives you more time to study. Because, again, we have set aside way too much time. There's never too much time for organic chemistry, but more time than is usual or what is normal to the university. Anyhow, so everything is on there. You see that we cover the course in 8 weeks, so it moves along rather quickly. After the first week, we usually have 2 quizzes on most weeks, except for you can see that in week 4, there's only 1 in there. But anyhow, we'll cover that more as we go along. So and I recommend that you print this schedule and put it somewhere important, maybe in your bathroom or, I don't know, someplace where you hang out and look in the mirror. I don't know, put it on the mirror, put it where you do dishes or something so that you're able to see that, and always be cognizant of what we're going to be looking at in class. Next, we're going to take a look at the syllabus. So here's our course syllabus. And traditionally, Organic Chemistry 2 is taught as a face-to-face class on campus. However, even though it's listed as a hybrid course, I'm delivering it completely remotely this summer. And you can imagine that there's a lot of reasons for that. The main one is that my students like to travel throughout the summer, and I don't blame them. And so this enables my students to complete Organic Chemistry 2 while visiting family or maybe just not being in Colorado Springs. And so, it seems to work rather well. If you want to meet with me for office hours, of course, even though I won't be in campus in person, you can always reach out to me by email and we can organize a time to speak over Microsoft Teams. But there are a few things that you're going to need in order to complete this course remotely. The first thing is you'll need some kind of reliable internet connection for attending lectures. You also need a computer with a webcam in order to take quizzes that require Respondus Lockdown Browser and Respondus Monitor. If you took General Chemistry 1 and 2 at UCCS, there's a very good chance that you would have used Respondus. Also, during the pandemic, we used Respondus extensively. Also, a printer is useful because there's sometimes when I might ask you to complete things that are handwritten so that you can prove to me that you can write certain curved arrow mechanisms. And so you can print something out and scan it and send it back to me. Another option is just to download a PDF if you have a Surface or a tablet, and you can complete it that way and then send me your work that has your curved arrows on it. And that is explained in more detail in point 4 here. So Organic Chemistry 2 is just a continuation of Organic Chemistry 1. It builds upon the concepts that you learned in Organic Chemistry 1, and it is very synthesis heavy. We deal with a lot of different reactions in this course. However, if anybody takes my course, it would mean that if they are interested in writing an MCAT exam or a DAT exam or something along those lines, that I would cover every bit of material in this course that you would need to know for the Organic Chemistry 2 portion of any standardized exam. Of course, you have to have a grade of C or better in Organic Chemistry to take this class. And as far as time commitment goes, it says here 12 to 18 hours a week outside of class. Now that's what I put in my normal syllabus for the spring and fall semester. And so you could think about doubling that. And so yes, it does take a lot of work to complete a course over the summer. There's a lot of studying involved, and there's not a lot of waiting. You really have to be proactive in practicing the material. And the reason why is because the material in organic chemistry, as always, is cumulative. What you learn in chapter 11 and chapter 12 is required for chapter 13, and of course you need it for chapter 17, and so on and so forth. How to contact me? Well, I made this syllabus not that long ago, but since then the university got rid of my telephone, and they did it for everybody in the department. So I don't have a phone number anymore, but you can always reach me by email. Don't use the messaging feature on Canvas. It's kind of clunky. I much prefer my students to reach me by email. And don't email me from a Gmail account or a Yahoo account or something. Make sure you write me from your university email, because that is what I am supposed to use to communicate with my students. If you email me, I don't sit around all day in the summer waiting with bated breath for more emails. Normally what I do is if a student sends me an email, I try to answer as soon as possible, but at least within 24 hours of receiving said email. Here I have a list of the outcomes, what the things that you can expect to develop and learn over the course of the semester, so you can take the time to read that. Things that you require, well, I only have one thing on here, but there's actually two things you require. The first one is the textbook, Organic Chemistry 4th edition, written by David Klein. And of course, you can access that through Canvas, but I'd say there is a second thing that is required, and that is the solutions manual. Now, the solutions manual, when we were dealing with the 3rd edition, it was free. However, now students must pay for the solutions manual. And I think the price is around $15. But I can tell you, my friends, it is the best $15 that you will ever have spent. If you took Organic Chemistry 1 at UCCS, you would be familiar with the solutions manual and know that it is very well written, and it is borderline imperative that you would have it to pass this class. As far as optional materials, we're not going to be doing an ACS exam this semester, so you don't have to worry about an ACS study guide. And molecular models, we don't really work with stereochemistry this semester as much as we do in Organic Chemistry 1, so you can use models if you want, but they are definitely not required for the course. Canvas is the learning management system that we use in Organic Chemistry 2, whereby I will post all announcements, slides, suggested practice problems from the textbook, assignments, quizzes, and you can also find your grades on there. And so if you have any trouble logging into Canvas, you can go to the account maintenance menu and try to get some help from them. In terms of where your grade comes from, most of your grade in this class comes from your quizzes. I guess there are 13. I have to double check that in the summer, but I think there's 13. I will drop one exam or one quiz. I will drop one quiz. You see lowest, it says score. It's not plural, it's just one lowest score. So if you are sick for whatever reason and you're unable to complete a quiz, you can drop one quiz, but you cannot drop one because you're sick, one because your car broke down, one because, blah, 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 whatever is going on. I only allow students to drop one quiz. Let's say you were sick and you missed a quiz. If you drop that one, that would be considered your lowest score, okay? So yeah, that's all there is about that. The final exam cannot be dropped. Everybody has to take the final exam. Where's my highlighter? And then we have homework that's worth 10% of your grade, and you can see the grading scale is here. If you took organic chemistry 1 with me, it's the exact same grading scale I use in that class. What else? The final exam, it says here ACS Organic Chemistry 2 or a similar exam. We'll just write similar exam written by Mr. Dion. So I will write the final exam in this class. There's no extra credit. Homework assignments are due on the day found in the schedule. Sometimes I change those dates slightly, but I would never make it earlier. I would only make it later, maybe by a day or so in the summer. That gives you a little extra time to complete it. You can always complete homework assignments. However, if they're late, they receive a reduction of 50% in score. There's no makeup quizzes. Again, you can see the whole thing here about missing one quiz, or I will drop your lowest score. That's it. What else? Online classroom courtesy. I mean, I did enough remote teaching during the pandemic that I'm not too worried about that, about people disturbing their classmates or anything like that. Oh, another thing I kind of skipped over here is the whole thing about cheating and academic dishonesty. Make sure that you check that out because we have a strict no cheating policy in the chemistry department at UCCS. The census date is also shown here. Withdrawing from the lecture, if you're simultaneously taking the lab right now with Mr. Geiger at the same time that you're taking the lecture with me, you can drop the lecture and stay in the lab during the 6th week of the semester because you have up until the Friday of the sixth week of the semester to drop. And after that, or before that, rather, you would receive a W on your transcript. But if you withdraw before that week, then you have to withdraw from the lab as well. During the 6th week, you can withdraw from the course and stay in the lab if you have a grade of C or better in the lab, and if you're attending the lecture and completing quizzes and homeworks. After the withdrawal date, you cannot withdraw from the course. If you ask me to sign a withdrawal slip or form after the withdrawal date, I will not sign it. You might get the dean to sign it on your behalf or something, but I will not sign it. What else here? The withdrawal form can be found in the Getting Started module. Then the whole thing about the Science Center. Science Center is available at UCCS. So if you're in Colorado Springs, you could go to the UCCS Science Center. I'm sure that most students are familiar with that. But again, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. I'll leave you guys to read the parts about course evaluation, disability services, and the testing center, and military students. If the last two pertain to you, be sure to read this part. And for the course evaluation, that's something that we'll talk about more towards the end of the course. All right, before I close this, are there any questions about the syllabus and schedule? Any questions? Remember, you can always unmute your mic if you have a question, or if the chat function works on your computer, you can use that too. None from Nick? All right, if there's none from Nick, then we're good to go. Let me give that a thumbs up, Nick. There you go. All righty. Yeah, so again, I recommend, the most important thing, this isn't anybody here's first rodeo. This is much different for me than teaching Organic Chemistry 1. You've all passed Organic Chemistry 1. You all know what it takes to be successful in organic chemistry. It takes a lot of practice, practice, practice. Of course, I recommend reading the chapters and attending the lecture. Of course, those things are important. And if you even want to rewatch a lecture, that might be helpful. but I wouldn't do that too much. I mean, I would always tend to spend more time practicing synthesis problems in this course than anything else. And you'll see as we move along how synthesis heavy the class really is. All right. Well, let's take a look at Canvas for a second. So let me go into Canvas. So this is our class's Canvas shell. I'm in instructor view right now. Student view is a little bit different. If I click over to student view, this is what you would see when you log in. So you can see the schedule and syllabus are posted. You can see the link to Wiley course resources on the left, and you see that I have the slides posted for chapter 11. I have the suggested practice problems posted, and the homework for chapter 11 is posted as well. You can see that being the summer, I don't have the homework ready for chapter 12 and 13 and 16. That's something that I will work on in the coming days, and I'll get it. I kind of move at the same speed as my students in the summer. You know, it's tough to get everything ready, immediately, but I do my best to get everything posted and give you plenty of time to complete everything. So you could start the first homework today if you really wanted to, but I would recommend at the least start going through the practice problems. Even if you just did them a few weeks ago, it's still good practice. It's never a bad time to practice organic chemistry. Well, I'm here just for a second, and I'll show you what the textbook looks like. If you've never used Canvas or haven't taken Organic Chemistry 1 at UCCS, you see on the far left below Home Announcements, it says Wiley Course Resources. I'm just going to click on that, and it'll open up a new window. And mine will look slightly different than yours because you don't have instructor resources. But you see where it says Wiley plus e-textbook on the left beneath the blue star. I'm going to click Launch. And it's going to launch me into the textbook. And here we go. So we're going to begin with chapter 11. What are vitamins and why do we need them? Anyhow, so we're going to begin with this chapter, and we're going to start with one-step syntheses. And again, if you took Organic Chemistry 1 last semester, a lot of this should be familiar to you. And so this is what we're going to take a look at today. So let's say there's somebody in the class, because I don't know everybody. Let's say you didn't take Organic Chemistry, and maybe you took it, I don't know, a year ago. Well, today is going to be a good day for you because we're just going to review all these different reactions that you would have learned in Organic Chemistry 1. So a good way to start the course, just by doing some review. If you're not familiar with the David Klein textbook, I'll just show you quickly that there are lots of practice problems in the book. If you scroll through, you can see that this is the first question, 11.1. Now, when I write my suggested practice problems, I never put 11.1. If you go in here, it just says suggested practice problems from Klein 4th edition. I just put 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 5, 6, 7, 9. I don't write 11.1, 11.2, 11. That gets just redundant. And so I just list them in the order here. So 1 and 2, we're going to begin with those. What else? You can see. Anyhow, there's all kinds of great questions in here. But then if you scroll to the end of the chapter, and I know if you took organic chemistry last semester, you're familiar with this, but you see at the end of the chapter, it has something called practice problems. And there's a whole holy host of new problems at the end of the chapter. So go in here, you can see that it starts, end of chapter, starts at question 11. And so I recommend that you do those questions as well. It's a real smorgasbord of great questions in here, and fun questions too. All right, there's even some ACS style problems if you like their kind of problems. And then there's some integrated problems. I don't do all of the integrated problems, but we take a look at a few, depending on the amount of time that we have and things like that. All right. Well, there you have it. So there's the textbook. Here's some suggested practice problems. Of course, the slides are available on the thing that says Chapter 11 lecture notes. You can download those. You can make a PDF. You can print them however you want. You can put them on a Surface, a tablet, an iPad, whatever you want to do. Okay, so let me just go back to Teams here. Go. So stop recording. Go to application. Here we go.